जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपीजन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रजजन रंजन यमुना तीरावनचारी जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय जगन्नाथाय जय बलदेवाय सुभद्रमाय जय सुदर्शनाय जय गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर जय गौरांगी बेंगलोरेश्वर जय गौरांगी जय लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव लक्ष्मी नरसिंह जय अनंत देव जय निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य जय निताय चैतन्य जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव। हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। Hare Krishna. Welcome to today's session on Srimad Bhagavatam, and today we are going to discuss from third canto, chapter 29, which is entitled Explanation of Devotional Service by Lord Kapila, and text number 16. So this chapter actually, in the beginning, Mother Devhuti acknowledges to her son, who is Lord himself, Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, that you have already explained the the details about matter and how the soul is entrapped, how the basically how a particular soul is getting entrapped into material nature, and how basically a soul accepts different types of body, how the mind, intelligence, senses, they work, right? And basically how to get free from all this. So then Mother Devuti further asks that please explain or please describe in detail the sansriti, our sansara, right? The problems of birth and death, so that one can develop some detachment from this material existence, right? After that, Mother Devati also asked her son, Lord himself, Lord Kapiladev, to explain devotional service, and what is suitable for her, right? And like what is easy or suitable for her to practice, right? Then Lord explains all that devotional service is, even though it is one, but people or different souls, if they have different degrees of tamoguna, rajoguna, satoguna, so they perform bhakti, colored or tainted or with that tinge of that mode of nature, right? So he begins with how people in the mode of ignorance, how if they end up performing devotional service, then what are the symptoms observed? Similarly, people from who have mode of passion as predominant in them, how they perform devotional service, and similarly, people endowed with mode of goodness in prominence, right? It's not that other modes are absent, but if mode of goodness is present in some person, how that person would execute devotional service. Even then, till right. So let's see one interesting thing there actually. So even till the mode of goodness, the word prithak bhavana is still there. Like that separatism is still there. I think 10th. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, Sattvika. So till here, prathak bhava is still tinge of that is present, yeah, because of the false ego and some other stuffs. Finally, Lord Kapila Dev actually explains the bhakti performed by pure devotional service, right? The symptoms of pure devotional service above the modes of nature. So that actually uh, the main emphasis is that their minds are immediately attracted to hearing of Lord's pastimes, right? Madhuguna Sruti Matrena. Having described all this, now Lord Kapil Dev actually proceeds to describe how to execute devotional service in a practical way. So now, from like 15th and here 16th, 17th, 18th, it will go like this. So today, in that flow, Lord explains the practical devotional service on a day-to-day basis. What are the things, right? What are the constituents, right? So let's begin with today's verse. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanang Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Deving Saraswating Vyasang Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityang Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Today's verse. मध्येष्ण दर्शन स्पर्श पूजा स्तुति अभिवंदनैः भूतेषु मद्भावनया सत्त्वेन संगमेन च मध्येष्ण दर्शन स्पर्श पूजा स्तुति अभिवंदनैः भूतेषु मद्भावनया सत्त्वेन संगमेन च मध्येष्ण दर्शन स्पर्श पूजा स्तुति अभिवंदनैः भूतेषु मद्भावनया Sattvena Sangamena Cha. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji or Mataji, anyone would like to recite? Okay, we will proceed with word by word meaning, translation, and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Word by word meaning: Mat, my, Dhisnya, statue, Darsana, seeing, Sparsha, touching, Puja, worshipping, Stuti, praying to, Abhivandanai, by offering obeisances, Bhuteshu, in all living entities, Mat, of me, Bhavanaya, with thought, Sattvena, by the mode of goodness, Asangamena, with detachment, Cha, and. Translation: the devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, touch my lotus feet, and offer worshipable paraphernalia and prayer. He should see in the spirit of renunciation, from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as spiritual. Purport. Temple worship is one of the duties of a devotee. It is especially recommended for neophytes, but those who are advanced should not refrain from temple worship. There is a distinction in the manner a neophyte and an advanced devotee appreciate the Lord's presence in the temple. A neophyte considers the Archa Vigraha, the statue of the Lord, to be different from the original personality of Godhead. He considers it a representation of the Supreme Lord in the form of a deity. But an advanced devotee accepts the deity in the temple as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He does not see any difference between the original form of the Lord and the statue or archa form of the Lord in the temple. This is the vision of a devotee whose devotional service is in the highest stage of bhava or love of Godhead, whereas a neophyte's worship in the temple is a matter of routine duty. Temple deity worship is one of the functions of a devotee. He goes regularly to see the deity nicely decorated with veneration and respect. He touches the lotus feet of the Lord and presents offerings of worship such as fruits, flowers, and prayers. At the same time, to advance in devotional service, a devotee should see other living entities as spiritual sparks, parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. A devotee is to offer respect to every entity that has a relationship with the Lord. Because every living entity originally has a relationship with the Lord as part and parcel, a devotee should try to see all living entities on the same equal level of spiritual existence. As stated in Bhagavad Gita, a Pandita who is learned sees equally a very learned Brahmana, a Sudra, a hog, a dog, and a cow. Yeah, he sees equally these entities. Yeah, Vidya Vinay Sampanne, Brahmane Gavi Hastani, Suni Cheva Sopakecha, Panditaha Samadarsanaha. So Samdarsana means he is able to see the spiritual spark, which is the individual soul, and Paramatma being present in every body, right? He does not see the body, which is only an outward dress. He does not see the dress of a Brahmana or that of a cow or of a hog. He sees the spiritual spark, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. If a devotee does not see every living entity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, he is considered Prakrita Bhakta, a materialistic devotee. Yeah. So certainly we can understand from this that we all have a lot to progress. Certainly me. So example is ideal example, the Lord Shiva, right? Even when Prajapati Daksh, right? So he did not like in particular assembly, Prajapati Daksh was present, Lord Shiva was present, not the sacrifice organized by Prajapati Daksh. Before that, in some meeting, sages were there, demigods were there, many elevated personalities were there. So Prajapati Daksh thought that why is Lord Shiva not offering obeisances to me? He was thinking like that, but thinking that because he is father-in-law, so he thought that his position is superior than Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is my son-in-law, so and he's anyway not materially rich or anything. He doesn't have any opulence. So Prajapati Daksh was thinking like that. He became enraged by this, by Lord Shiva not offering him obeisances, outwardly. So what happened? Later it is revealed that Lord Shiva did pay obeisances to Paramatma in the heart of Prajapati Daksh. So he mentions that I have already offered my obeisances to the Paramatma in his heart, like that. So that is Lord Shiva's level. Vaishnavanam yatha sambho. So he's the perfect example of Vaishnava qualities. So let's continue. He is not completely situated on the spiritual platform. This we are talking of continuing with Prakrit Bhakta here. So Prakrit Bhakta is not completely situated on the spiritual platform. Rather, he is in the lowest stage of devotion. Okay, he is somewhere definitely in devotion because he is rendering service to the deity form of the Lord, even maybe ritualistically or whatever, but still some stage of devotion, but that is in the lowest stage of devotion. He does, however, show all respect to the deity. Although a devotee sees all living entities on the level of spiritual existence, he is not interested in associating with everyone. Simply because a tiger is part and parcel of the Supreme Lord does not mean that we embrace him because of his spiritual relationship with the Supreme Lord. We must associate only with persons who have developed Krishna consciousness, or not that who have fully developed, but who have developed. It is awakened. Krishna consciousness is awakened, and they are, quite good in that. Like, yeah. So let's understand this paragraph a bit here. Although a devotee sees all living entities on this level of spiritual existence, he is not interested in associating with everyone. What is the meaning of association? Not only physical proximity, or not only just hearing some or exchange of some words. That is not association. Association means transformation of our heart, or transformation of hearts of people, who are, yeah, means discussing anything with each other. Yeah, we may be situated remotely. For example, sometimes we listen to classes, spiritual discourse from very advanced or senior devotees over electronic channel, right? It can be Zoom, it can be anything, right? Facebook Live, YouTube, right? But we still get association, right? Sometimes, yeah, in Mayapur, Maharaj, let's suppose His Holiness Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj is giving class on Janmashtami. So if we hear from our respective cities, right, still we are associating. So, and our heart gets definitely some transformation happens depending on our situation, right? So that is association. So what it means is here, he is not interested in associating with everyone. That yeah. So it also means other way around, that we don't avoid their physical proximity if it is required. Yeah. Otherwise, how will preaching happen? Right? Preaching means we are qualified to preach, like chanting minimum 16 round, reading Srila Prabhupada books, following four regulative principles. These are the minimum things, right? And then we, under the direction of advanced devotees or Srila Prabhupada's loyal servants, then we go and preach in that mood, right? So what will happen if our sadhana is good? Then we will not be affected by physical proximity, or even their sentences of words of upcoming devotees, or at the time non-practicing devotees. So we don't avoid physical proximity, but to be able to transform their heart, our sadhana has to be, yeah, some of some standard, right? What Srila Prabhupada has set the basic standard. We have to have that. Then we will not get affected by their, thought process, words, and other things. Otherwise, let's say if I go to a very rich person, right, and he looks like very sattvic, something like, Jains. Many Jains are very rich, and they don't trouble others, and they looks like this, live very sattvic life. I might get influenced. If my sadhana is not good, I will only get influenced. So it will be reverse flow of association. I will get his association, rather than Acharya is wanting us to give our association to upcoming devotee or non-practicing devotee persons, right? Non-devotional service practicing persons. Anyway, so association, I just wanted to elaborate on that. Yeah, so potential difference has to be there from our side to their side, right? In electricity also, if our potential, bhakti potential is higher, then only it will flow from our side to other side. Otherwise, either it will not flow, or reverse way we will get influenced. Okay, so let's continue. We should befriend and offer a special respect to persons who are developed in Krishna consciousness, right? That means naturally at least our level or higher level. Yeah, so other living entities are undoubtedly part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, but because their consciousness is still covered and not developed in Krishna consciousness, we should renounce their association. Again, not getting influenced by their thought process, their words, right? This is what. So, this topic has been, befriending, the similar like-minded devotees, or advanced, more advanced than us. So that has been elaborated or indicated in Bhagavad Gita also, and Srimad Bhagavatam, further places also. I would just like to, correlate a bit. So Krishna in the Chatusloki Bhagavad Gita, right? He mentions Matchitta Madgat Prana Bodhayanta Parasparam. That is the benefit of association, right? Discussing some topics, right? Bodhayanta Parasparam, yeah, like that. That is important, right? So like-minded. That also means similarly like-minded or advanced than us. What about junior? How to, do we need to avoid the devotees who are just starting, or they need our help or guidance? No, we don't avoid them, but we just guide them if they ask. right? If they are genuinely interested in knowing something, and they are asking without any unnecessary argument, and then we can accordingly, based on our uh, proper knowledge, we can inform them, guide them. Yeah. So that should also guidance should also happen based on Srila Prabhupada's mood and his purpose. Yeah, his lectures and purpose, and what was the mood of Srila Prabhupada. Not based on, we all Indians, we have some spiritual background, right? From family, coming from family. So that should not be the main guideline, but guidelines should be based on Srila Prabhupada's spoken words essentially, and his instructions, whether it's purport or classes or conversations or anything. That's very important to understand. Anyway, so in Bhagavad Gita I mentioned Machitta Madhagat Pranam Bodhanta Parasparam Katyantasya Mahanityam Tusyanti Cha Ramanti Cha. That is one. There is another reference if we see here in Bhagavatam, further fourth canto, when Dhruv Maharaj is leaving his father's home, King Uttanpada Hope's home, and going to forest, right? So Narad Muni, he meets him, and that time Narad Muni instructs a very interesting lesson, one particular lesson which is very important. Recently, it was discussed in our temple, by Her Grace Devaki Mataji. The sloka is 4834. Gunadhikan mudam lipsed anukrosham gunadhamat maitring samanad anvichena nataper abhibhujate. Yeah. So what essentially it means, actually, let me open only, that will be important to see precise references, so that is always better than giving a rough or vague idea. Yeah. 4834. Yeah, this is the verse I'm referring. It's related to the line in purport which we were discussing. Gunadikan mudam lipsed anukrosham gunadamar. Anukrosham means compassion here, not the anger. Yeah. So here what it means, every man should act like this. When he meets a person more qualified than himself, he should be very pleased. Yeah, we should be happy, jubilant, happy. This devotee knows so much. Let's learn from him. Let's hear from him. Yeah. When he meets someone less qualified than himself, he should be compassionate toward him. But yeah, it doesn't mean that if the person asks casually. So if based on the sincerity of the person who is asking, based on that, we should be helping them in a precise way. Rather, yeah, that's also so many, like, communication skills are also important. And when he meets someone equal to himself, he should be a friendship with them rather than competing with that or showing off that I am definitely slightly or more better than better than you. So in this way, one is never affected by the threefold miseries of this material world. So 4834. So Naradji is telling to Dhruv Maharaj that why are you feeling envious against Uttama, your stepbrother. But anyway, context is different, but the message is related. That's why I basically shared that. Yeah. So let's continue. But because their consciousness is still covered and not developed in Krishna consciousness, we should renounce their association. We should not get influenced or affected by their thought process and words. It is said by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur that even if one is a Vaishnava, if he is not of good character, his company should be avoided. Although he may be offered the respect of a Vaishnava. This is very, very critical line, extremely critical line. Prabhupada has further, some other places also is explained in Srimad Bhagavatam about this point, that when we see a devotee who has started chanting, we should definitely be respectful to that Vaishnava. But Vaishnava, one word, it is a big spectrum actually, just like a sun rays, right? Ultraviolet to infrared, right? So there are all grades of Vaishnavas. So Mahaprabhu also gives categorization of Vaishnavas based on several criteria, right? So some of them are like, Mahaprabhu says that one who has chanted Krishna's name even once is a Vaishnava. That is Kanishadhikari, of course. So he might be carrying many baggage from, karma vasana or many habits, external habits from this life or previous life before coming to authorized Krishna Bhakti, Krishna consciousness. He or she might have some particular traits and other things which are not very pleasing or not very, soothing to, see, good to see and all that, right? We should not develop hatred toward them, but at the same time, we should not associate with them deeply at all, right? Only if there is some inquiry, we can guide them and all that. But not so they see, first of all, these beginners carrying baggage, right? So they would not be talking about pure devotion only all the time. They would be talking so many other things. This happened, that happened, all that. That also comes under prajalpa and so many other things. So when our mind will get astray, we don't know. So better to avoid the association. Yeah, a lot of prajalpa talk and other things. Only the inquiries can be handled and responded to. Yeah, so that's important. Otherwise, yeah. So example of this type of thing is, someone might be still reading a lot about politics, news, and so many other things which are not conducive, right? Watching movies and all those things, right? So we should actually, uh, and if they talk about those things, right, when they meet, correlate something, then it becomes, it definitely, it is not conducive to our own Krishna bhakti. So that's one important thing. So these are some examples, and their habits might also be different, right? So we have to be careful. But how would we know, that these are Kanishta and or basically, or these are those progressive or upcoming devotees whose association we should avoid, right? So how would it happen? It would happen when we basically read Srila Prabhupada's books carefully. Then we will figure out, right? So our own sadhana, sadhana swadhyaya, that has to be up to the mark. Then we can make that proper decision. Otherwise, our decision itself will not be correct. Okay, let's see further. Anyone who accepts Vishnu as the Supreme Personality of Godhead is accepted as a Vaishnava. But a Vaishnava is expected to develop all the good qualities of the demigods. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada is referring the fifth canto. Yeah, 5:5:18. Oh, sorry, 5:18:12, right? That famous verse, right? So better to see it again in writing. Yeah. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati yakinchana sarvair gunes tatra samasate sura. Right? Yeah, just the verse. हराव भक्तस्य कुतो महद्गुणा मनोरथेना सदे धावतो वहे. Yeah. यस्यास्ति भक्तिर भगवती अकिंचना. This is important. Sarvais gunes tatra samasate sura. Let's see. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifest in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Yeah. So this is what. So these are all interconnected, and very important reference Srila Prabhupada has made here. The exact meaning of the word Sattvena is given by Sridhar Swami as being synonymous with Dhairyena or patience. One must perform devotional service with great patience. One should not give up the execution of devotional service because one or two attempts have not been successful. One must continue. Sri Rupa Goswami also confirms that one should be very enthusiastic and execute devotional service with patience and confidence. Where is he referring? That is nectar of instruction. Utsaha nischaya dhairya tattat karma pravartanat. Sangatyaga sato vritteh shadbhir bhakteh prasiddhati. Right? So being enthusiastic, endeavoring with confidence. What confidence? That will be mentioned later here. Patience is necessary for developing the confidence that Krishna will certainly accept me because I am engaging in devotional service. One has only to execute service according to the rules and regulations to ensure success. So bhakti is a science. Yeah, we say bhakti is a vigyan, and in vigyan, if our if the experiment is done by the book, then we will see experiment by the book. We will see the result by the book, right? So like that. So if, for example, for regulative principles, if it is not followed precisely and perfectly, then the result will also be accordingly, right? It will not be zero, because since we are chanting holy name, it will not be completely, it will never be wasted, but the progress will be accordingly. With the intensity we follow for regulative principles, with the sincerity we chant our rounds, Hare Krishna Mahamantra, and with the sincerity we take association of Srila Prabhupada by reading his books, going through his lectures, in that proportion we will see the outcome. So depends on intensity, right? So yeah, it's a science. ओम अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। नमः ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिन् इति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधो दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्णा। So very all slokas are important in Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Chaitanya Charitamrita. So this is coming in the flow of Lord describing the practical devotional service steps or the limbs of those things, right? So uh, just to begin with, he is referring to the deity worship also, and seeing the Lord non-different from seeing the Archa Vigraha non-different from Lord himself, right? Same as Lord, right? But this thing, see my statue, touch my lotus feet, right, and offer worshipable paraphernalia. This is referring to the Brahmana second initiated devotees, the Brahmana devotees who are eligible, qualified to touch the lotus feet of the Lord, touch the Archa Vigraha of the Lord. It's important, right? So it's not that everyone is allowed. Just that we are chanting 16 rounds and we are basically first initiated, let's suppose Harinam Diksha. Harinam Diksha is the main thing, by the way, to connect to the parampara. But to be able to serve the deities in the temple, there are further qualifications which are needed, definitely needed. So how we can know that? That Srila Prabhupada has explained in the beginning only, second canto. So the chapter is titled The Lord in the Heart, second chapter. Yeah. See here. Actually, this is the meditation, how we should meditate beginning from lotus feet of the Lord to his mukharvind, right? So that is mentioned. Ekaika songani dhyanubhavaye padadi yavad hasitam gadabhrtah jitam jitam sthanam apohya dharaye parang parang shuddhati dhir yatha yatha. Sorry. To be able to personally serve the Lord, that is Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, that requires lot of purity, right? So that actually, as the last paragraph was there, let's go through that quickly. Those who are too engrossed in sense gratification sorry, cannot be allowed to participate in archana or to touch the transcendental form of Radha, Krishna or Vishnu deities. Very important, right? If you are I'm talking, for example, myself, let's suppose, if I'm in so much sense gratification, then how can I be allowed to touch the transcendental form of Radha Krishna or any form of Krishna, right? Lord Nrsimhadev, Nitai Chaitanya, Vamanadev, yeah? So, or Lord Parsuram, Shaligram, right? So, if we are, if one is in still engrossed in sense gratification, they should not be allowed. That is a basic rule. Why? Because they are too much body conscious. Sense gratification means what? Too much behind serving the senses. Senses, right, is part of the material body, right? So if we are too much into matter, materialistic, engrossed, attached to the body, and Krishna is transcendental, right? So it becomes, it's not good. It's become offensive, right? That they directly touch the Lord, right, in temple. So that's what. So we should have some detachment, or or rather we say that we should have attachment to Krishna, then they can be allowed. So there are finer details, and that is actually taught to second initiated devotees, how to, what personal conduct they should have, integrity of mind, body, and senses, everything, right? And then what are the processes, different mantras, yeah. Main thing is internal integrity, right? So and externally, of course, the mantras are there, processes are there, right? And so for the Narad Pancharatra, then they are allowed to touch or serve the Lord personally. Otherwise, we can, if we are progressive, now we can bring paraphernalia like, fruits, flowers, other things to the temple. We could hand over to Pujari. They can actually utilize those paraphernalia to serve the Lord, right? So that is also very good. It will help us progress definitely. Yeah. Let's see. The impersonalists and the voidists are therefore recommended to meditate upon the universal form of the Lord. So fortunately, we are neither impersonalists nor voidists. Whereas the devotees are recommended to meditate on the deity worship in the temple. Yeah, because the impersonalists and voidists are not sufficiently purified in their spiritual activities, Archana is not meant for them. Lord is actually a person, right? Naturally, so it's a completely, diametrically opposite to the philosophy of impersonalists. So that is anyway, we don't even need to think about that. And even voidists, right? So they should not actually even attempt to touch the Lord and what to speak of worshipping, right? So all that. So here devotees are recommended to meditate on the deity worship. So even if, let's suppose, those of us who are not second initiated, so we can at least, meditate on the deity worship. So Lord is bathed, dressed, offered garlands, fruits, and incense, all these things, right? Fruits. So we can absorb our mind, seeing those things. Those steps are very powerful to even see. I'm just saying, it is fact. Just by seeing when Lord is offered arati, and when we see that with full concentration, that is very powerful, powerful step. It actually uplifts us. We don't know immediately at that time, but see, when flower is offered, arati is offered, Lord is bathed, abhishek is going on. Saying that is very, very spiritually uplifting. It is said that if one sees the Lord's abhishek, performed in an authorized way, very authorized way, then we will overcome our lust. It is mentioned actually in the Shastras. So seeing also is very important. Yeah. Now here let's see further, right? In a translation itself. And prayer. Yeah, prayer anyone can offer, even if we are not second initiated or even not directly initiated. We can go to the temple, maybe near the altar if the space is there, or wherever we can see the Lord from, and we can recite some prayers from where, either any of the bona fide scriptures, right? Either Arjuna, how he glorifies Lord in Bhagavad Gita itself, and then Srimad Bhagavatam is full of essentially Srimad Bhagavatam is full of either Lord's instructions or devotees' glorification to the Lord, right? So we could you know we could keep going through the stuti or prayers. So there is slight difference between these two. Prayers is generally, prayers are for some specific protection or something like that, right? Stuti and or glorification is purely glorifying the Lord, just glorification, right? Of the Lord's attributes, his qualities, all that, his form, all that, right? Prayers sometimes same one devotee's sequence of verses that will include prayer also and glorification also. So we could offer some prayers like Akruda is famous, right? He is the epitome of Vandanam, right? So like that. So many things are covered here, right? Yeah, Darsan, Sra, and yeah, this Vandanam, right? Both are there. He should see in the spirit of renunciation from the mode of goodness and see every living entity as a spiritual. One point I wanted to cover here. Uh, Yeah, the Satvena means Dhairya, right? The Dhairya, we discussed that, Utsaha Nishayan Dhairya, right? Tat Tat Karma Pravartanat. This Dhairya, how to practically develop this Dhairya, more Dhairya, right? Some devotees actually, my senior devotees, they said that, I think they quoted Srila Prabhupada only. For Dhairya, you associate with elderly devotees, right? Who have been practicing Krishna Bhakti for decades, like 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, something like that, right? In our temple, we have here His Grace Bhaktivinoda Prabhu. So he has been brahmachari, and he has been strictly following, sadhana bhakti process for more than 50 years now. So by associating with them, we will also be enriched in bhakti, science of bhakti, and we will get the patience also, and how to maintain enthusiasm. For that, we should associate with young devotees, young and enthusiastic devotees, right? Youth Forum has many such devotees. Seniors also have, but the enthusiasm of youth is, quite different, right? Like teenagers or youth, right? So by associating with them, we also get infected by, or we get recharged by their energy. So yeah, association with youth gives enthusiasm, and association with more experienced elderly devotees, that gives us patience, like that. That is one way. There, fundamentally, it's reading of Srila Prabhupada books, hearing the Krishna Katha from Srila Prabhupada or his loyal followers. Yeah, that's an important criteria. Loyal followers of Srila Prabhupada who really embody the mood of Srila Prabhupada, who try to figure out what was the mood of Srila Prabhupada, right? For example, in matter of book distribution, I will give one example. One disciple of Srila Prabhupada, he was not really complaining, but he was sharing the feedback, with Srila Prabhupada, that, this devotee, that temple president, or that devotee, they are distributing books by hook or crook, or they are utilizing this or that. They even give false assurance about this and that it is available in the books, something like that. These kind of things. I don't remember the words exactly, but then Srila Prabhupada said, "And you, what are you doing?" So then Srila Prabhupada said, "You think that you are a big Tattva-gyani? Our goal is that books should reach everyone's hand, like home, as soon as possible, right? My books should reach." That's what Srila Prabhupada said. So idea was, not to, grossly trespass the guidelines, but by some, innovative means also, we should be able to, uh, attract people's mind to Krishna consciousness. That's the high level essence. By some innovative means, either through our, sweet talks or anything, right? Whatever, using whatever we can attract people's mind, right? So that way we should attract people to Krishna consciousness and share Srila Prabhupada with them, right? So yeah, we should know the mood of Srila Prabhupada and Acharya Parampara, right? And we should preach with that mood rather than forming our own opinion. Anyway, so that was one small detail I wanted to share. And biggest thing is here, see here it was mentioned, right? Neophyte thinks it's a representation. Deity is a representation of the Supreme Lord. Neophyte thinks like that. And advanced devotees accept the deity in the temple as the Supreme Lord directly. So why does it happen? What is the meaning of advanced devotee? Meaning of the advanced devotee here is practically, neophyte and advanced, who, see, a neophyte does not know fully, or in great detail about Lord's mood, his pastimes, right? How Lord reciprocates, with his devotees, right? So that is not fully, fully clear to the neophyte. That's why the neophyte devotee is not able to fully believe, or have faith that here is the Lord directly. Yeah. So that all depends on Sravanam process. Sadhana and Sravanam. Sadhana, like chanting of 16, minimum 16 round of Hare Krishna Mahamantra sincerely, and hearing of Krishna Katha from Prabhupada or loyal followers of Srila Prabhupada. That's very important. This loyal followers of Srila Prabhupada, they can be of any gender, any age, yeah, and from any ashram. They can be grihasthas very much. They can be brahmachari, they can be grihastha, they can be vanprastha, they can be a sannyasi. In previous chapters, like 25th chapter of this canto, when Lord Kapila describes advanced devotee, essentially sadhus, he never mentioned gender, age, color of the dress, or ashrama. None of these things. These are all external. They are not integral to definition of a sadhu. Titikshva karunika, right? Surda sarvadehina. So anyway, so in our movement, if one is if one is loyal to Srila Prabhupada, right, and his way of understanding Krishna Bhakti, that person is a good person from whom we should hear. Or we should read, first of all, Srila Prabhupada's books, right? So if we read and hear Krishna Katha, right, That actually reveals so many things, that Lord Krishna is like this. His heart is like this. He, likes devotees, pure devotees, more than, he says to Balramji that I like like my devotees more than my brother. Sometimes he says, even in presence of Lakshmi ji, Lord Krishna says that I like my devotees more than Lakshmi, my wife Lakshmi. He says that in presence of Lakshmi ji, but Lakshmi ji does not get envious of this. He becomes happy only that, yeah, means the Lord is liking his pure devotees so much, and pure devotees are also so glorious. So there is no question of envy. The point is, everyone is thinking about others, that they are better devotee than me in a spiritual realm, of course. Yeah, material world, yeah, during like our progressive steps, we may not be that pure. Yeah, correctly. But the point is, by carefully reading the pastimes of the Lord and understanding the mood of Lord, and what lessons we should take from there, right? Then we, and when we see that in the DT form, like Lord in the DT form, he reciprocates with devotees. Yeah, very much he reciprocates. Not that he stands as a statue, inanimate statue, and he does not do anything. No, the Lord, like Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, he reciprocates with devotees on a day-to-day basis, right? If we are actually following the bhakti process properly, right? Otherwise, what is the connection? So I'm sure many of us would have experienced that, in a very tangible way. Lord actually reciprocates with the devotees, right? Sometimes he would give some inspiration directly to do some seva in a particular way. Sometimes, if it is for our benefit, he will lead us away from that place. If we had otherwise, we might have committed some offense or some negligence, right? So many ways Lord actually reciprocates or guides us, right? So I'm sure many pujaris would also have experienced this, and all of us would have actually felt this at one point or other, very tangible way, not in a very subtle way, very concrete. It's a very solid thing actually. It's not something imaginary. So that happens when we when we develop some trust or some faith, right? Okay, Krishna is there, and he will protect us, he will guide us, and the basis of that is hearing about Krishna, knowing about Krishna. That's how we develop love or affection towards anyone, right? So that's very important, right? Hearing is the fundamental thing. When Navidha Bhakti is developed in seventh canto, when Prahlad Maharaj narrates that those two slokas, right, sitting in the lap of Hiranyakasipu, Sramanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam Padasavnam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. So there in the Sravanam or in other places also, Srila Prabhupada says, if Sravanam process, hearing is perfect, then every other limbs of bhakti can go on smoothly. That's fundamental. So it's not that, just if when we receive second initiation and our hearing is not perfect and it is not ongoing. It's not that once, let's suppose, I went through all the lectures of Srila Prabhupada and many of his disciples, right? Then I think that it's done. No. In Bhagavad Gita, 11th chapter, 52nd verse, Virat Rupa's chapter, but it's very important. Srila Prabhupada says, by repeated hearing, let's actually see that. It's extremely helpful, 11.52. Yeah. See, I will search for the word repeated. Yeah, this one. See, that is the actual basis for it. And those who are actually in the Vedic line hear about Krishna from authority. And by repeated hearing about him, Krishna becomes dear. See, when this happens, right, by repeated hearing, there is this effect of like a great effect of this. Repeated hearing has different effect. So Krishna becomes dear. As soon as Krishna becomes dear, then we will treat Lord's Archa Vigraha form as really non-different from him. Now that happens at the level of bhava, right? That all develops essentially from hearing and chanting, right? But till the time, let's suppose, say, right now I'm not at the level of bhava. So then what to do? Yeah. So there is another angle now, for the progressive devotees. We should treat Archa Vigraha non-different. How? In practice, that means when we are in the temple hall, any bona fide temple of Lord Krishna or Vishnu, right? Then in front of the Lord, we should not commit any offense, right? So anode in nectar of devotion already mentions such offenses, right? 32 offenses in front of the deity of the deity form or in front of the Lord, right? So we should avoid those 32 offenses. Some of them are like shouting in front of Lord, talking to someone rudely, not well dressed, not properly dressed, not being in unclean state. So we should avoid. So when we go an altar is open, we should be definitely we should definitely act and behave and maintain our mental state in such a way that Lord is actually here. So I should be also accordingly respectful and peaceful and all that, right? With some veneration, right? Some respect has to be there. Yeah, that has to be there. Otherwise, it becomes offensive, chastising someone in front of the Lord, right? So these things are, and there are many 32 offenses are there. Or being, as a big charitable person in front of the Lord, I will give you this, I will solve your problem. In front of the Lord, we should not say all sorts of things, right? These kind of things we should be careful of. So again, we have to go to nectar of devotion and read out those occasionally, right? 32 offenses to be avoided in front of the Lord, right? So that actually would mean that we are treating Archa Vigraha as non-different from Krishna. That is one practical way to actually do that, right? So that's applicable to everyone, and definitely progressive devotees. As progressive devotees, we should follow those etiquettes. Yeah, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, etiquettes are the ornaments of Vaishnavas, right? So now let's see. And this one biggest thing is all this, is possible, easily possible in the association of devotees, right? Yeah. So that is very, very helpful. Yeah, so deity worship is very important, and Lord Krishna has instructed Uddhava in 11th canto. It comes actually. Lord Krishna has very elaborately discussed. He has instructed in great detail about how to perform deity worship. Step by step. Those things are there in 11th canto. So yeah, we should read those. And we should maintain our mood. What should be if we are eligible for deity worship, we should maintain. And main thing is, yeah, association. Through devotee association only our devotional service, they flourish or progress, right? Otherwise it dwindles over the time. So as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, root cause of devotional service to Lord Krishna is association with advanced devotees, right? Again, even when we are at the level bhava or prema, then also devotion, association of the devotee is most essential, right? I wanted to share this. Yeah, and again we should have eagerness. I think other things I already, yeah, this another related verse I wanted to share about deity worship or darshan of the deity, right? Darshan is also mentioned here, no? See, the devotee should regularly see my statues in the temple, right? Have a darshan of deity very, enthusiastically. Oh, how nicely Lord is dressed today. And Lord is always nice. The dressing is so nice. Garland is so nice, Lord looks so cheerful. He's always cheerful anyway, but we should see that, every day or as much as possible. Let's see what I wanted to share here. It's a very famous verse. It comes two places. Yeah, but let's see the meaning. Sravanad darsana dhyanan mai bhavo nu kirtana na tatha sannikarshena pratiyata tato grihan. Who Krishna is telling this verse to the wives of the Brahmanas. See, here he says, it is by hearing about me. See, Sravanam is first, always. In 25th chapter of 3rd canto itself, again Lord says, Mat Katha Sravana, like that he says, like that. So that is also about begins with hearing. It is by hearing about me, seeing my deity form. See, here is hearing, first hearing. Otherwise, we will not have proper mood to even have darshan of the Lord. We will. That's the difference. One has heard enough of Krishna Katha. That person will see Krishna as Krishna. Others will see Krishna as a statue in the temple. That's the difference. Being aware of Krishna, right? Seeing my deity form, meditating upon me. But what we will meditate if we have not heard about him? So again, hearing is the foundation, right? Dhyanat is also depending on here Sravana only. Yeah. And chanting my names. Chanting we cannot do feelingly if we have not heard about Krishna properly sufficiently. Right? That feeling comes through hearing only. Right? and glories, right? My names and glories. That love for me develops, right? So love for Krishna develops through this process. Shravan, darshan, and dhyan, right? All this process. Namdha bhakti essentially. Not by physical proximity. See? Therefore, please go back to your homes. Let's see little detail. So very 29, 27, I think. Yeah. Same verse. Now he's telling to gopis in a teaching way, but our interest is here. The same result is not achieved by mere physical proximity. Just that I am, standing on the altar. Just by standing in the altar next to the Lord, it will not work. And neither when Krishna personally comes. Let's suppose personally he is manifest in Dwapar Yuga and he was there, right? But just seeing him, Duryodhan could not develop love for God, right? Love for Krishna. So hearing about him, yeah, that we already discussed that, right? DT form also, yeah, same message exactly, right? So yeah, this I wanted to share. And Mat Katha Sarvana, right? This actually, see, this last again I trying to emphasize Madas, this one. See, 25th chapter, where sadhu's qualities were described. Here is the Madas Raya Katha Mrishta, right? Sridvanti Kathyanti cha. See, again it's a Sravanam. Lord Kapil Dev only has told earlier. Engage constantly in chanting and hearing about me, right? They do not suffer from material misery. Yeah, that's a different thing. The point is, again, hearing. Emphasis is always on the hearing. That proper hearing enables all other things, right? As Bhagavatam says, first canto itself, Yasyam Vesroyamanayam Krishne Paramapuruse Bhaktir Utpadyate Pumsaha Sokamoha Bhayapaha 177, famous verse, right? So again, let's see. Simply by giving oral reception to this Vedic literature, the feeling for loving devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, sprouts up at once to extinguish the fire of lamentation, illusion, and fearfulness. Right? The point is, the as good as is our chanting, and that will also be dependent on reading or hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. If we read and hear Srimad Bhagavatam, properly, then our chanting quality will also improve. Of course, the goal is to, one day chant Suddha Nam, pure name, right? Not only offenseless, but pure name of Krishna. But that will, like we will help ourselves, if, to achieve, to reach that level quicker if we read Srimad Bhagavatam and hear Srimad Bhagavatam Katha. Of course, you see, Chaitanya Charitamrita is also Bhagavatam because that is also pertaining to Lord and his pastimes with his devotees. So I will end here. The foundation or the basis is, of course, chanting, but that is also helped by hearing Krishna Katha. So hearing Krishna Katha is, enabling so many, every other limb of bhakti, whether it's a chanting or TT worship or anything. The darshan of the Lord will also be proper if our hearing is good. So I will stop here. Is there any question we can discuss? Okay, looks like we don't have any question. So fine, we will stop here. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय।